This succulent must be one of the most popular and common succulent plants in gardens and collections. People often call it red jelly beans or pork and beans. Its botanical name is Sedum rubrotinctum, and it is very likely a hybrid of Sedum stahli and possibly Sedum pachypilum. The exact origin is unknown. One thing is for sure, this little succulent is one of the toughest plants I've grown. It tolerates a lot of neglect and stresses in its environment. And it is also very likely available in most garden centers and nurseries. You may even be able to score a freebie from someone you know, as lots of people grow them. It's very beginner friendly as well. Rubrotinctum grows as a small multi-branch ground cover and can spread almost indefinitely as long as it has good soil to root into. Each branch is about 10 to 15 centimeters long. The size very much depends on the growing conditions and can vary based on climate, weather, root space and position. The chunky leaves look like long beans and grow along a thick stem in a spiral. Their size can range from about 0.5 to 2 centimeters. They have a bit of a shine to them and are glossy. The color is mostly bright green, especially during the warmer months. But when rubrotinctum is stressed, the tips or the whole leaf can change to a bright blood red color. The plant looks its best and most red during the colder months when temperatures drop below 10 degrees Celsius. Sedum rubrotinctum is a sun lover and will grow best in a bright sunny spot outdoors. It does tolerate outdoor shade and filtered light, but is likely to be less colorful. It can grow leggy, tall and stretched as a result. Although rubrotinctum is not very susceptible to fungal disease, they can still attack, especially when succulents are grown in shaded areas that tend to be more humid. When it comes to growing indoors, rubrotinctum is not the best candidate. It will very likely struggle, grow leggy and lose a lot of leaves. It should however tolerate overwintering and short stays indoors as long as it's kept in a super bright spot. If you have grow light, sunroom or a large sunny window, it may be fine permanently. If grown in pots, repotting every year or so will ensure a healthy multi-branched plant. It will tolerate being root bound, but it will generally grow bigger when the pot is upgraded regularly. If you only get light frost during winter, you can grow this succulent in the garden. Although rubrotinctum tends to be more frost tolerant than other succulents, it can suffer frost burn. To help it establish and grow better in the garden, mix any type of potting mix in with the garden soil. The roots of this plant tend to be quite thin and can find it difficult to break through hard garden soil. By cultivating and mixing in a bit of potting mix, you'll add nutrients and improve the soil structure. When growing succulents in the garden, it's best to choose a slope, raised beds or a spot where water doesn't pool after rain. While rubrotinctum will tolerate poor potting media, they will grow best in a succulent potting mix when grown in pots. It will have the right pH and nutrients tailored to succulent plants. From personal experience, rubrotinctum is not very susceptible to water-related issues such as edema or fungal disease. It should tolerate living outdoors even if it rains quite a bit. It also tolerates overwatering. But if you can control the watering, it is always best to let the potting mix dry out completely between waterings. In summer, this could mean watering a few times per week and almost not at all during the cold months. Rubrotinctum is drought tolerant and will live for months without any water. But in my opinion, it should not be left too dry for too long, as it may start losing leaves. Temperature-wise, rubrotinctum will tolerate heat well over 40 degrees Celsius, though it should be moved out of the sun once it gets this hot if in pots. If exposed to direct sun during extreme heat waves, the leaves can suffer sunburn and the plant could die, especially when planted in dark-colored pots. Having said that, rubrotinctum is extremely hardy and is likely to survive strong heat waves if well enough established. Young or small plants may struggle though. When it comes to cold, rubrotinctum is said to tolerate frosts down to about -7 degrees Celsius. As we don't get too much frost and snow, I cannot say how well rubrotinctum would do under a blanket of snow. If you have any experience with this, please tell us in the comments. Rubrotinctum can be propagated from seed, leaf and cuttings of offsets. It's one of the easiest plants to propagate and pretty much propagates itself. If you knock a few leaves off, they will produce a leaf baby without any special treatment. Personally, I think the best way to propagate it is using leaves or cuttings. Seed propagation can be a bit unreliable and, given the ease of leaf propagation, kind of redundant. For fast results, propagating cuttings is the best method. As long as there's a good enough stalk to cut through, the branch can be propagated. Cuttings should be left to dry for about 24 hours before planting. Once the wound is dried, they can then be planted into pots filled with succulent potting mix, or you can bung it straight into the garden. First roots should appear in about 2 to 3 weeks. Many stalks will already have roots when you take cuttings, and they tend to root super fast. If you want lots, leaves are very easy to propagate. They separate without breaking and have really good success rate. Bigger the leaf baby, but with this plant even the tiny leaves will grow. You can pop the leaves in an empty tray, but they will also grow when sprinkled on top of potting mix or in the garden. When the leaf babies start to emerge, the roots will do all the work and find their own way into the soil. Easy growers like this will propagate almost all year round, but it is best to do this in the growing season, which is usually spring to early autumn. If your winters are quite cold and involve snowfall, I'd recommend against any propagation during this time. Unfortunately, rubrotinctum is quite susceptible to all pests that bother succulents. But because this plant is so prolific and easy to grow, it quickly grows out of any damage caused by pests. Aphids are quite common almost all year round and can often be found on the youngest leaves up the top. Root mealybugs can be a real pain as they are hiding out of sight in the soil. They particularly like root-bound plants, so do check on those roots every year or so if you are not repotting regularly. Mealybugs on the leaves tend to hide close to the stalk between the leaves. Larger bites are likely due to caterpillars, grasshoppers, slugs and snails. The flowers are small and cute, bursting out of the top of the branch. They have 5 petals and are bright yellow. Each branch can have over 20 individual flowers. Here in Australia, rubrotinctum flowers at the end of winter and through early spring, but this can be different in other parts of the world. Sedum are said to be non-toxic for dogs, cats, other pets, livestock and humans. Having said that, I would not advise chopping it up into a salad just in case. And that is all for today. If you'd like to learn more about succulents, you can hit the subscribe button or go to succulentgrowingtips.com. Thank you so very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.